Get her, Breezy. Get her, Breezy. Get her, Breezy. Breezy, you're so cute. Baggy, get Breezy. We good, ladies? We good? Good day at the park? Good run?
This song's dedicated to Bagheera in that gangster lean. Why'd you have to go so soon? It seemed like yesterday we were hanging around the hood. Now I'm gonna keep your memory alive like a homie should. A lifetime of memories going down the drain. I like to keep stepping, but I can't get past the pain. I smoke some Chiba to your memory. Take a puff and I start to think, and I know one day soon we'll be hanging out. This is for my homie. This is for my homie. Well. See you when I get there in that gangster lane. That gangster lane. This is for my Bagheera. This is for Bagheera. Well. Breezy saw you when you got there in that gangster pit bull lane. Gangster pit bull lane. Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is a tribute to the one, the only Bagheera Mason Brown Troublefeld, aka Princess Thug Life, aka Mrs. Will Bite Your Face, aka Fuck Your Dog, aka Will Get in That Lap, aka Pet Me Now. Okay? This is about Bagheera, everybody. And for those that don't know, I am and forever will be a pit bull mom. And on May the 3rd, I had to send on home to glory my beloved pit bull dog, Bagheera. She was age 16 years, 5 months, but we'll just say 16 and a half to keep it funky. And this dog lived an incredible life. And I have some incredible stories to tell you about this dog named Bagheera. Bagheera is named, obviously, Bagheera is an Indian name, Southeast origins. I should have looked up what the fuck Bagheera meant, right? Actually. But I know that she was named after the Black Panther in the Jungle Book, the famous book by Rudyard Kipling and subsequent Disney movies, etc. And Bagheera was the sage panther who kept Mowgli, the boy cub, the man cub, alive in the jungle while I don't know what the fuck was Mowgli doing. Doesn't matter. Um it's a Hindustani word for tiger. Oh, okay, interesting. But she definitely resembled Black Panther, and I appreciated that about her and her name. To see my dog, Will, at your convenience, you can pop up a picture of Bagheera. Let me explain to y'all about Bagheera, okay? Bagheera was born in November of 2008, okay? This was just a couple of weeks after the election of Obama. So, tongue in cheek, I've always referred to her kind of as an Obama dog, right? Also, sort of a nod to her longevity, right? Guys, we are in the second term of Trump, and we had a nigga in between Trump, between Trump terms. And Bagheera was born when Obama was first elected. So again, for those who may not know how dogs age and or when dogs become elderly and usually pass away, for a pit bull, my vet told me when we took her to put her down, I said, Doc, as pit bulls go, is she the oldest? She said, no, she's not my oldest. She said, my pits usually check out around 13. She said Bagheera definitely was among her oldest, not the, but so Bagheera was born November of 2008. She was the runt of her litter, okay? But in spite of being the runt of her litter, she was the alpha. The female of the litter was alpha, and she was the smallest one. And when I tell you that my little dog was running tings, she ran tings. Okay, the shout out to my Caribbean massive. My dog ran tings. Okay, but for clarification, when she was first born in 2008, she was not my dog. In fact, she belonged to a person who was a very close platonic friend of mine, someone who actually kind of reminded me of some of my ne'er-do-well family members. Reminded me of some of my family members who may have had, let's say, drinking problems, amongst other things. And this person, at their best, is a genuinely good individual, very helpful, wanting to be helpful, of all kinds of things. And this person always loved animals and had a deep affinity for animals. And they had kind of worked their way up in terms of pets, because this person also had issues remaining housing stable. So they'd have to move sometimes with some frequency. So they had a snapping turtle. Why? I don't know. They had ferrets. They had, small mammals and or reptiles. But when this person got Bagheera, it was almost like they had a baby, because this was the largest responsibility for another life that this person had ever had. Not to say that their smaller pets weren't as significant, but this was a dog. Okay, like a dog is way different than caring for a turtle or a ferret. Okay, like a dog needs shit. Okay, and this person's family member worked at a vet clinic as a vet tech. Hold on, let me slow up. So yes, no, that's all this is relevant. Okay, so because of that, Bagheera always had access to healthcare as a puppy, and through her first 3 years before I got her. I think part of the reason she stayed alive is because she was always up on her shots. She didn't quite go hungry per se, but she had to get creative in her eating habits, and I'll get to that in a moment. So her first daddy, let me just refer to him as that. Her first daddy, right? Cared for this dog so much. This person, in spite of their substance abuse issues, they held down 2 jobs, and managed to secure their own apartment in Ivy City in DC. And for those that are not familiar with Ivy City, it's in Northeast DC. And where her first daddy lived was right off Mount Olivet Road. So, but this is not the Ivy City of 2025. Okay, this is Ivy City. I don't think gentrification had came to Northeast at this point. All the gentrification was down fucking U Street, Georgia Avenue, and down the gentrification had not quite come up to Mount Olivet Road. It was a little hood. And when I would go over to visit and hang out, I remember thinking, how is this little puppy gonna make it back here? Because the apartment building where they lived, it was old, and they had the basement apartment, right? And the main entrance, you couldn't even access the main doorway to walk downstairs from the street, because it was filled with like trash and fucking debris and shit. It was gnarly. So you had to go around back. So I remember when I had to drive, I had a steep, like very deep decline driveway, and it pulled into his parking area. There are no spots marked. It's gravel, it's broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the corners, they just don't care. It back to the train tracks. It also kind of back to the New York Avenue animal shelter. So you could always hear other dogs barking. It was an interesting situation. And I'm thinking, this dog is probably going to eat something that she's not supposed to eat off this ground. This dude is not going to be able to get her vet care when she eats a piece of broken glass or something crazy, right? And also Bagheera, because her first daddy, like I said, had a bit of a drinking problem. Sometimes while drunk, he would spill his drinks, knock his fucking Mad Dog bottle over or whatever the fuck gut rot liquor they were drinking. And Bagheera would come and start licking it up. I said, "Hey, first daddy, this is probably, you understand the dog shouldn't be drinking, right? Oh, but she likes it. She'll drink it. Oh my Jesus God. Oh, okay. She likes to eat my chicken wings. You can't give dogs chicken bones." So it was shit like that. Like, I was not convinced that Bagheera was gonna make it. Given her caretaker situation, right? So I always communicated to him. I said, "Listen," I said, "this is a special dog. Like, this, you've got a very smart dog. Let me say this also. Bagheera was bright, and this dog was fearless. Okay. Now, I told you she was the runt of her litter, so she always was kind of on the smallish side. Bagheera never really got bigger or heavier than like 50 pounds. Maybe she got to 52 pounds once. So she was like compact, thug life. You know what I'm saying? She was, when she was a puppy or a younger dog, she could walk on the arm of the couch. She could walk along the back of the couch, and she would, like, she was almost like a cat. I was like, this is a cat. I'm not convinced this is a dog, but she was a nut. Like, she would jump from anywhere. She would jump from the back of the couch. She would jump off the bed. Like, she was wily. She was all over the place. She was wild. She would tear shit up too. And, her first daddy, again, all the best intentions in the world, but I will say this, like, when he would discipline her, sometimes he would cage her, and not only let her out to go to the bathroom. He put her back in the cage. Sometimes he would, in order to punish/discipline her, sometimes he would withhold her food. You know what I mean? Like, these were tactics I didn't agree with, but she wasn't my dog. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's part of there were many reasons, but that was another reason why I, with some frequency, would tell him, "Hey, if you need me to take her off your hands, like, I'll take her," right? Even though I knew she was wild. Even though I knew she was wild. She was wild. Something about her, this dog just kind of had a sparkle. She had a level of comprehension that I didn't think was regular for a dog. This dog was really smart. This dog could problem solve. Um and again, coming to find out how smart pits were. I didn't have a whole lot of experience with pits at the time. And in fact, I was even looking for my own pit about a year later. And hold on, do I have any other Bagheera stories before I get into where I got Breezy? No, because Bagheera didn't come to me until after I got Breezy. One second. So, fast forward to late 2009. So Bagheera was born late 08. Fast forward a year. Her first daddy calls me. He was like, "You still looking for a dog?" I said, "Yeah." I said, because I'm about 30, 31, 30. I don't remember how old I was. Early 30s, not sure whether or not I was going to have, human babies or not, but the best way to find that out is to get a pet, right? Like, can you care for another mammal at minimum? Can you keep alive another mammal? So while still in between decisions of whether or not I was going to pursue motherhood, I said, well, sure, I would like a dog, but I wanted a dog. God damn it. Y'all know me. I ain't want one of them little no disrespect to the Fufu Shishi dogs. I know we got some Fufu Shishi dogs in attendance that are with us, and we love those Fufu Shishi dogs. But I need y'all know my philosophy on dogs. I need a dog that's gonna make a nigga think twice, okay? Because you're gonna think twice, either from the bark or from the visual. Am I going to go fool with them? Think twice, right? So I knew I wanted a pit bull, and I thought very badly that I wanted a boy pit. I was gonna name him Fred. I had plans, I had visions, I had crazy visions. You know what I'm saying? But her first daddy calls me up and says, "Yo, what I know about this dog down the southeast, the people trying to get rid of it. She's about 4 months old, and they won't charge you for it. Just come pick her up. She got a cage and everything." I said, "Oh, okay." Sight unseen, I drove down to Crofton. I think that's where they were. Some place off 301, some vet hospital. There I met Breezy for the first time. Bagheera was there on the first day, minute, second that I met Breezy. Bagheera was there. And of course, Bagheera's first daddy was there. So wait, also for context, let me back up a bit. During her first year of Bagheera's first year, I'll just say this. And it wasn't her first daddy who did it, but it was somebody that her first daddy knew. But Bagheera sustained a serious injury, actually. She had a broken leg. Well, she's 16 and this happened years ago. Somebody broke her leg. Let me tell y'all what the real fucking deal is, okay? A person who seeming to have multiple incidents with dogs in particular becoming injured in their presence. Bagheera was a victim of this person, not her first daddy. Let me be very clear about that. But this person broke her leg. She was in a cast, actually. And I always thought that because she had a broken leg as a puppy, I honestly thought that I just remember not thinking that Bagheera was going to have a great life or that she was going to live very long. I remember just thinking like she's going to have it tough, you know what I'm saying? Recouping from a broken leg, dealing with her first daddy who had substance abuse issues. And to be clear, she's not a person, a child, a human baby, but understand that, dogs can experience trauma. Pets can experience emotional trauma when people act out and become violent and or aggressive. I don't believe her for beyond the cruel and unusual punishment of withholding her food. Beyond that, I don't think he abused her physically, but I really don't know, to be honest. So, but it was important to mention that Bagheera did have a broken leg in her first year of life, and that becomes relevant because she had a lot of injuries and illnesses that she survived until the ripe old age of 16 and a half. So let me tell you, we talking about a tough bitch, okay? We talking about a bitch that's tough out here, okay? Tough out here. So you know that Bagheera had a broken leg her first year of life. 2009, December, I go to pick up Breezy. Bagheera is there. I have to give them a ride back to Ivy City. So we leave Crofton. I'm driving, but to put all this in context, I did quite a bit of driving when I was driving. We drove from Crofton into the city, into Ivy City, and then I had to drive back out to where I was living, Laurel, right? And so y'all know, if you know, from DC to Laurel in traffic is about 45 minutes. However, this was the eve of one of those big snowstorms. If you remember the winter of 09, 2010, we had some of them snowmageddon storms come through the DC metro area. And at the time, I was working as the traffic reporter at Channel 2 in Baltimore. So on a regular fucking day, my black ass had to be to work about 4 a.m. God help me. Oh my God, how in the world did I do that? But anyway, had to be to work by 4 a.m. So I'm actually, after I drop off Bagheera and her first daddy in DC, I'm driving back to where I was living. and we're in wall-to-wall traffic. Breezy gets car sick, barfs all in the back seat. Hey, Seuss. And then it was just a lot with Breezy. Breezy was very skittish. Initially, she was a kind of like a little sickly, which kind of represented itself in her later. But she was just a very scary, reluctant dog. She shook a lot. And again, and she was 4 months old when I got Breezy. I don't know what Breezy experienced before coming to me, but she was nervous about people and dogs. When I would walk her around the neighborhood, this is important for context. When I would walk Breezy around the neighborhood, she would walk behind me. Okay. Like I have her on the leash and she's behind me. Like she's not beside me. She's not want to walk in front of me. Anytime we would walk past a yard that had a dog in it, the dog would run up to the fence and rah, rah, rah. Breezy would try to take off running. She'd tuck her tail and try to haul ass. The only reason she didn't haul ass is because I had her leashed up. And she was just a very nervous, scary, skittish dog. Okay. So fast forward. So that's me getting Breezy in 09/10. 2011, I think Bagheera, her daddy reached out to me and said, "Hey, so I'm living in Northern Virginia, wherever they was living in Northern Virginia. I'm staying with a family member, but my family member's spouse won't let Bagheera in the house." It was wintertime at the time. I went, let's say 2011. This sounds accurate. 2011. So yes, that make Bagheera about 2 or 3. Yes, yes, it's all right. So they asked me, could I keep her briefly, temporarily, because they had left their place in Northeast DC. I think they had bounced a couple of different places, and now they were living with their family member, and their family member spouse would not let Bagheera in the house. So in the wintertime, Bagheera had to sleep outside in a truck. All I know it was a truck. I don't know if it was a running truck. I don't know if it was a pickup truck. I don't know if it was a box truck. I don't know what kind of truck it was. But her first daddy had made a little coat for her, which my mom just recently found at the house, which, it's kind of like this terry cloth, thing where it had a little button around her neck. And it was kind of like a terry cloth blanket kind of thing that she would have on her while she slept out in this truck at night by herself in the wintertime. And her first daddy was like, I can't let her live like that. So he asked, could I take her? And I asked my mama. That's where I was at the time. So, mama, can we take her? And not me nor my mom had any experience with a pit bull, especially not of Bagheera's caliber. Because, like I said, we had probably had Breezy about a year and some change by then. And Breezy's still very nervous, still very skittish. When Bagheera came to stay, there was a change in Breezy. Okay. Bagheera is like, bitch, you are a pit bull. Bagheera said, bitch, you ain't know you was a pit bull. Watch this. Let me show you how pit bulls supposed to mob out here. Let me show you how these pit bulls supposed to get down. So Bagheera was a little buck wild when she first came to stay. One of the first things I had to do for her is train her not to run in the street. Her first daddy, for all of his instruction to her, did not train her not to go in the street. So I remember one of the first times I was getting ready to take them out for a walk or for a ride. I can't recall. I opened the front door, but Bagheera haul ass towards the street. Street is very close. And I just hollered for her like Baloo did in the animated version, the OG Disney version of the Jungle Book, Bagheera, and she stopped. And I went up to her, and this is how I train dogs not to go in the street. Everyone, I'm sure, has their own tactic, but you take that nose, almost like they peed in the house. You put that nose toward the street. You tell them, no, 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 you don't go in that street. You don't go on that street. You don't go on that street. And so she got it. I didn't have an issue with Bagheera attempting to go in the street after that. But what I did have an issue with was this fucking insane ball literally jumping out of a moving car. So Bagheera, let me back up a little bit again because I did leave out a very significant part of her formidable years. Within those first 3 years of her life that she was not with me, they moved a lot. They moved from Northeast. They lived in Southeast. I will tell you about the time that I went down to Southeast to visit Bagheera and her first daddy at her first daddy homeboy house who had been locked up. I think this man had did like, I can't remember if he did 10 whole years or he did 7. He was supposed to do 10, he did 7. Came out. They had a place like Atlantic Avenue. And again, I'm not so familiar with Southeast and the cross streets, but I remember it was like Atlantic. And I can't remember if it was Malcolm X or Alabama Avenue, but whatever one of them streets deep in Southeast. I am not used to. I did not spend, but so I went down there and, it was, we're in our late 20s, early, I guess 30s by then. Oh my God. These dudes were living so foul. These niggas was just living trifling, like a bunch of dudes and a bunch of dogs in a house. You guys can imagine, right? You guys let your imagination do the walk. And I remember going down there to visit because I can't remember if he needed me to pick them up and take them somewhere, or was I just checking in to see what was going on? I can't remember why I went down there, but as soon as I went down there, I said, "Nigga, I am never coming back down here." Because they was in there trifling. But the funny part is that it was a house full of dogs, all pit bulls. Okay. These are hood dogs. You understand? Like, I don't know if them dogs never saw shots. Bagheera had her fucking shots, right? But at the time, she was not fixed because her first daddy had ambitions to have puppies out of her, get a litter out of her, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. But I remember coming in the house and I'm like, well, where's Bagheera? Oh, she's upstairs. Da, da, da. So went upstairs and she's in the diaper because she's in heat, right? So they're trying to keep her away from the other pack of the wild dogs. But I'm like, yo, is she okay down here with these dogs? And they'd be like, is she okay? She run these dogs. I'm like, but she's the smallest. They're like, yeah, but she's still the alpha. Like, she always kept that alpha energy. This dog, again, not a big pit, but will bully any fucking dog. Like, Bagheera was always trying to hump other dogs. You never saw a female dog behave this way. Like, madam, you have no testicles. Why? What is the humping all about? Why are you trying to hump dominate literally any dog that you can? And that's part of that was a small initiator of why she sometimes got into scrapes, as you can imagine. Not every dog was going for that. And Bagheera would be like, I don't give a fuck if you're going for it or not. If you're not going for it, you can catch these teeth, baby. You can catch these canines. She was always down for the fight. So anyway, but part of that came from her running with the fucking hood dogs, because what her first daddy would tell me is that, this is the kind of neighborhood that had a chain link fence. And sometimes, when the fences wore out, it kind of swing low, sweet chariot, right? It's kind of bows a little bit. Easy access for athletic dogs to run up and hop over the fence and then just run the fucking neighborhood. So if you happen to live in Southeast between, let's say, 2010, 2011, 2012, you may have seen Bagheera out there young and thugging with the rest of the Southeast dogs, because that is how she got down. So to my point, like, this dog, Bagheera, was a true DMV dog, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. This dog lived in every every letter of the acronym. Bagheera lived, spent time at. She was so adaptable. That was also part of her amazing ability. You could literally drop Bagheera in almost any kind of situation and she would find a way to adapt. She had to adapt even how she ate, in the sense that, when her first dad was kind of between jobs, or, money was fucked up, he would just get whatever he could afford for her at the gas station. You know what I'm saying? Dog food, cat food, people food. You know what I'm saying? Like, so she developed what I would say would kind of be like an iron stomach, right? Most dogs don't eat that way, or it's not good for them to eat that way, but she had to, because she had to adapt herself in order to survive in the same way that he was trying to survive. So Bagheera came to stay with me twice. So from the one time that I told y'all she was cold and sleeping in the truck, she probably stayed a few months, a couple to a few months. And then her first dad came back and got her. I don't remember where they went after that. This has been some years now. But when she came back to stay, he had called me and he was living with a friend at a friend's mother's house. And the friend's mother didn't want the dog in the house. He was somewhere in Northeast. He said, "Can you meet me at the gas station on New York Avenue?" And y'all, Washingtonians, is that gas station? I don't even fucking know. Not gas station. No, did I say the gas station? The McDonald's, my dumbass. The two-story McDonald's that used to be on New York Avenue for the longest time. I think they actually tore it down, but maybe they didn't tear it down. Fuck, I know. I don't drive anymore. But there was a two-story McDonald's inbound. Well, I guess it would be on the outbound side, actually, of New York Avenue, kind of just a couple lights past North Capitol Street. And he was like, "Can you meet me at that McDonald's? I have her cage. I have a little bit of food for her, but she can't stay where I'm at." And he knew that I would take care of this dog. So I went and picked her up. The cage was too big and it couldn't collapse. And I think I had a tiny car at the time, like a little Nissan Sentra, that I couldn't fit the cage in my trunk. So Bagheera had to lay in the back seat, but on the floor behind me, the driver's seat, kind of with the cage on top of her. And she did, from DC back to Laurel. And that is when she came to stay with me permanently. And she was with me ever since. Now, in the interim, I can count maybe 10 dog fights that Bagheera got into since she got with me. I have no idea her record. Her first 3 years of life, I can only imagine she was out here punishing dogs, because when I got her, she started punishing dogs. And I said, "Whoo boy, whoo boy, whoo boy." And I'm trying to put into order in which way the punishments came and the wild behavior came. So one time we were up at and these dogs have been with me during wild fucking encounters with cops and white folks and all kinds of shit. So let me try to start when she got with me. One time we were leaving the park. I had the windows down because Breezy by this time had gotten quite comfortable with riding in the car. And in fact, she loved to ride in the car, loved to hang her head out the car, loved to get the wind in her face. Breezy was about that shit. And Bagheera was always about the car rides, about that shit. So we're in the neighborhood and I'm about to make a turn. And then the next thing I know, Bagheera's not in the back seat anymore. Where'd Bagheera go? Oh, she jumped out the car. Why'd she do that? Why did she jump out the car? Why did she jump out the car? I'll tell you why she jumped out the car. She's a psychopath. Okay. She's psycho. So I had to pull over and I had to open the door. I said, "Bagheera, get in the car." And she came. I said, "God damn it, Bagheera, don't fucking do that." Like, don't jump out the car. That wasn't her last time jumping out the car. Amongst in the earlier days in which I had her, again, leaving the same park, this time she sees a dog being walked on the sidewalk. This psychopath jumps out the car and tries to engage in a fight with this dog. I had to throw the car, hurry up and park and fucking wrestle her ass before she actually did damage. And I don't even count that as one of her dog fights, by the way, because she didn't even get a chance to really get off, but she was ready and about that action. And to be very clear, I told you guys, Bagheera was a 50-pound pit bull. Never in the history of never ever have I ever seen this dog ever become aggressive, growl, and or posture towards a smaller dog. She never had a problem with littler dogs, those toy whatever the fuck. She never cared. The only time she was dog, and make no mistake, she was dog aggressive, okay? But she was only dog aggressive with dogs her size or bigger. You never saw a dog engage in such sportsmanship, okay? Like she only wanted fair fights, and she didn't care if the fight was unfair, lopsided, not in her favor. She didn't care. She would never go after a smaller dog. She only wanted dogs her size or bigger, and she would take all comers. She never gave a fuck. We went to the Laurel Dog Park. I would take When I first got Breezy, I wanted Breezy to be socialized. I did not want to have an unsocialized pit bull, especially one that was kind of skittish and scary, because I didn't want that. So I would take Breezy to the dog park before Bagheera came, and even after Bagheera came, I decided to test fate and take her to the dog park. And I know you're like, Kim, you know your dog's dog aggressive. Why did you take her to the dog park? Because sometimes I would go to the dog park with the intentions of going when no one was there, just so they would kind of have a wide open yet contained space to run. Bagheera usually, what once she got with me, she mellowed some. Even in her younger years, 3, 4, and 5, she mellowed some, meaning that she wouldn't go all the way off on newer dogs just because she saw them. And I think she got the vibe from me that went, listen, nigga, I need you to be on your fucking shit out here at the goddamn dog park, okay? Like, I need you to keep that fucking Southeast and Ivy City shit low out here, Bagheera. You in the suburbs now, goddamn it. We in Anne Arundel County, okay? They will call them people. So, but no, I'm kidding. But so I used to take her successfully to the dog park. How would I do that and not have her annihilate dogs? Well, I would either bring a toy for her, or sometimes at the dog park there would be toys. So what Bagheera would do, if she had a toy that she could just lay onto herself and chew and squeak and do all that shit with, she was fine. She wasn't thinking about the other dogs. She wouldn't even look at the fucking other dogs. Like, she would literally be in her own world, gnawing on her own chew toy. But there was an occasion, and this is when I realized, maybe we can't come back to the dog park no more. But so the only time she would have issues at the dog park is if another dog tried to come and take her toy. There were let me list you off 3 occasions of which I can think of. I'll save the dog fight for the last one, because I think that was amongst the last times that we went. One time we were at the dog park and a dog kind of gruffed at me. Wait, hold on. Let me back this up. We were at the dog park, me, Breezy, and Bagheera, because I don't want to get my stories confused. And another dog mom had brought her dog's toys up to the dog park. Bagheera somehow obtained one of the dog toys and was chewing on it, right? Intensely. The dog whose toy it was wanted its toy back and goes up to Bagheera. And Bagheera kind of stops, kind of cocks her head. She picks up the toy. She turns around, gives the dog her back and keeps chewing, right? The dog kind of goes up to its mom. It was like, can you please go get my toy? Because I'm afraid of this dog. That was one of many instances, by the way, guys. I saw some dogs actually decline on engagement with Bagheera because let me tell you something. Dogs can their senses and their ability to detect when another dog is all the way about that action. I never saw that materialize in the ways, again, numerous times I saw that with Bagheera. Like, I saw dogs like be like, nah, this is not what I want to do. And there was another instance at the dog park where, okay, this dog, a dog, fucking, I don't remember what dog, but a dog gruffed at me or something. Breezy came out of the woodwork. Breezy somehow got this dog up against the fence and started slamming this dog up against the fence. Not growling, not barking, not even biting the dog, but like slamming his dog up against the fence. Dog tried to get up. Breezy put the dog back down. Another dog came around like they wanted to get involved. And Bagheera cut the dog off, didn't bark, didn't growl, just looked at the dog. And the dog sat down. The shit was crazy. The shit was crazy. Like, dogs knew what time it was with bags, and they didn't want the smoke, right? And the ones that did want the smoke got the smoke. Last story about the dog park. We're at the dog park, Laurel Dog Park, and this dog tries to come over and take the toy from bags. Why did the dog do that? This dog, my dog, started attacking. Now, to be clear, I'm not pro breaking up pit bull dog fights. Okay. Like, in fact, I recommend against it. I don't think you should stick your hand down into a pit bull dog fight unless what, kids? Unless your ass is ready to get bit. That is correct. Okay. And this lady at the dog park, um, whose race shall remain unverified. But this lady tried to break up the dog fight. It wasn't even her dog that was fighting. It was my dog and somebody else's dog. And this lady tried to break up the dog fight. And she got bit. Now, I don't know who bit her. I don't know if Bagheera bit her. I don't know if the other dog bit her. But Bagheera had her, was fully up on her shot. So whoever it was, whoever got bit was not in danger. But that was the first of its several incidents that, had it been documented, right? Had whoever the fuck, animal control, been notified. Like if all of Bagheera's incidents had been kept as a close record, Bagheera, if she was a person, she'd have been in jail. You understand? Like, as she probably would have been labeled a dangerous dog. And to be honest, I don't know how many people would have put up with that. Okay, like, to have a dog that is so willing. Again, she had, I don't know how she got this restraint at the dog park. Maybe she took cues from Breezy, and she followed, when in Rome, do as Romans do. But that was our last time going up to that dog park. I said, I don't know if we're coming back. So subsequently, I moved here. Okay. And that is in 2013. Garrett's 4, almost 5. And the very first night I spent here, it was with her. I left Breezy at my mom's, and because I knew Bagheera, again, super adaptable dog. She's lived in apartments, she lived in houses, she lived in a truck, she lived in single family houses, she's lived in a room. Like, you can drop this dog anywhere and she'll make it. So I said, I was so excited to get the keys, and I'm like, come on, Bags, it's gonna be me and you. And we slept on the floor, pillow and comforter, just me and her. And the next morning, I woke up and went to work from my new place. I was so excited to do that. And I got off and I came home, and Bags was here waiting for me. No accidents, like a G, like a boss. And when we finally moved here, this became our forever home. Like, this became as much my home. This was Breezy and Bagheera's home. Okay, this was their home. And Bagheera brought, again, a lot of those idiosyncrasies back here with her. Let me say this also before we left living with my mom, because we could not return to the dog park because, well, by my choice, no one officially banned us from the dog park. I just elected. I said, you know what? We're not coming back. I started having to get creative about where I would take them, because with pit bulls, a tired pit bull is a happy pit bull. Breezy and Bagheera, much to their credit, they destroyed very little at my mom's or at my place. Why did they? Because pit bulls are known to be destructive. But what it really is, if you have a bored pit bull, if you have a pit bull that's been cooped up, that doesn't get out, that doesn't get that energy out, that dog will turn all of that energy and frustration onto your shit. Okay. So I didn't want the pit bulls tearing up my shit. So I used to walk the fuck out of these dogs. Like, and I realized, sort of looking back at that time, I'm like, that's why I was so slim. You know what I'm saying? In part, why I was so slim. Nigga, I'm walking just 15 miles a week, just exercising them, and at that time I was exercising myself at the time outside of walking the dogs, but I would have to walk these dogs at least 2 miles when I walked them. Like, nigga, they had to be tired. Like, they had to be tired. They had to be wore out. Like, that's the only, if you're going to have a pit bull as a dog, and you want to have a successful relationship where you're not frustrated with the dog and the dog is not frustrated, you better be ready to walk them dogs and represent woo, okay? And you got to do it damn near every day. And being with Breezy and Bagheera got me unafraid of walking in the rain. I'm like, shit, I ain't gonna let no little fucking nigga, I ain't got no relaxer. I ain't gonna let no little bit of rain keep me from walking these dogs. I tapped into my white ancestry. I said, we walking these dogs in the rain. It's happening. It is a thing. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. And also, funny thing about Bagheera, before we left at my mom's spot, we had neighbors on either side, and my mother's fence backyard is fenced in. And come to find out, Bagheera could climb the fence. Who knew? Who knew she could climb the fence? But unlike some psychopathic pit bulls who climb the fence just to run the fucking neighborhood, blah blah blah, Bagheera, not a dumb dog. Bagheera would climb the fence in the backyard and just observe the neighbors. On one side of my mom's at the time was elder black man, a bit gruff. He was a bit of a, we could call him a gruff fellow. I don't think that's unfair. And he didn't like Bagheera. It was something she didn't like him either. she had ran up on him one time and he kind of like stamped his foot at her and she turned around. But I'm like, she's not usually like that with people. She didn't like him. She was very people friendly, loved the shit out of people. She didn't like him though. Come to find out, she would climb the backyard fence, hang her head in between the slats, and bark at him. She's not trying to get to him, not trying to attack him, not trying to kill him. She's just voicing her displeasure. Nigga, I don't like you. I see you. I don't like you. Now, the neighbor, funnily enough, on the other side of the yard, she would climb the fence and watch him in his backyard, tending to the garden or doing yard work or whatever. He told my mom, he was like, yeah, I've got your dog up there just watching me sometimes. Who does that? What dog? Y'all know, just wants to peep, just she wants to elevate her vantage point. I'll tell you what dog, a smart dog, a curious dog, a dog that will work its little brain to figure out a way. That was this dog. So when moved down here, I too have a fenced in yard. If you were to look in my backyard and you were to look at the fence all the way towards the top, it's a 6-foot fence. Okay. There's paw prints up towards the top part of the fence. And to my point about Bagheera being smart, she also knew and would learn her lesson. So, for many years, several years, I lived here with my ex, with my former partner. One time, he and I are on the porch. Let's call him her second daddy. Her second daddy on the porch, summertime, fried jury dripping, right? Just shooting the shit outside. It's gorgeous, sunshine, middle of the day, because I remember the mail carrier had just came up on the porch and handed the mail. And I remember this lady, she was a mail lady. She was walking down the steps. And the next thing I knew, I heard the most horrific sound. I never have heard a dog scream like that before or since. And he and I looked at each other and we took off down the steps, ran to the backyard. Bagheera she has climbed the gate. She's got her head in between the slats, but she's stuck. She's got her leg wedged in between the slats of the gate. And every time she tries to release herself to go, her leg is caught. So if she falls, she's going to break her leg. She knows this, right? She is hollering. We were at her right there. I'm going to guess it took us 3 seconds, if that. So he goes to we open the gate. She still paws over. The back leg is jammed in between the slats, and he goes to try to pull her down. I'm like, don't pull her down. I said, hold on. I had to like untwist her paw, untwist her foot, and push it through the slat. And while he's kind of behind her, trying to pick her up, like she shits on him. This is how scared she was. She was terrified. She took a shit right on his shirt, and we got her down, and she was like, thank God, like the relief, this dog, she was so relieved and so grateful. Like that is probably the most scared I've ever saw her. Like she was really afraid that she was going to fuck herself up, and she was going to fuck herself up. And I am grateful, and she better be grateful that we was right there and ready to spring into quick action, that she didn't suffer no major injury at that point. Now her first fight on this side of town happened on a summer night. And again, because all this has been some years, I'm trying to make sure I get the chronology right, but it was still pretty early from when I moved here, when Bagheera got into this first fight. And it was definitely summertime, right? Now, I told y'all that my neighborhood is overwhelmingly black and brown. And the Browns like to turn up, okay? The Browns, and I don't mean the Kim Browns. I'm talking about mi gente out here. Mi gente love to throw the party, okay? The mi gente like the party. Mi gente get it in, and that's cool because I love that. To turn your music up, my boy Armando. That should sound cool to me. I have no problems with it. So mi gente was out here partying. And me and my partner at the time, we were on the front porch with the dogs. My front yard is not fenced in. That matters in the context of this story. Now, to be clear, Bagheera had spotted this nemesis from day. This big bull mastiff by the name of Moose. Moose would get walked with some frequency. We'd see Moose quite a bit. Every time Bagheera saw Moose, it was fuck you, Moose. You ain't shit. It was always Bagheera always had smoke for Moose. My dogs, like I said, insanoids. They would I summertime or temperatures, I'd leave the windows open and so they can look out the window. Shit. And trust me, I'm the kind of person, by the way, who doesn't mind my dog's barking like a psychopath. Why? Because it'll make motherfucker think twice. Okay. You don't want to fuck around at that house. Them dogs sound crazy as shit in the window. Yup, they sure do. So anyway, Bagheera had been giving Moose smoke for some time. Giving Moose so much smoke to the point she stuck her snout through my fucking window screen. I wanted to choke her. I'm like, nigga, really? Really? You wanted to clap at Moose like that? You had to stick your snout through the fucking screen? Hey, Seuss. So anyway, it's a summer night. The folks is partying several houses down. Block is filled with cars, right? Here come Moose and his daddy's walking down the street, right? Bagheera, now I can't remember this. Me and my ex kind of remember this slightly different. I thought she was already in the front yard. He claims that she had jumped off of the ledge, which probably stood 4.5, 5 feet off the ground. He claims she jumped off the ledge into the yard and then across the street. Regardless, Bagheera ended up across the street and she ran up on Moose. Now, for context, Bagheera's 50 pounds. Moose is 150 pounds. Big dog. Big fucking dog. Big dog. Bagheera, I'm like, no. Bagheera, I see her, see him. I said, Bags, no. And so anytime that she would see a dog that she was down to fight, all of a sudden, Bagheera is hard of hearing. All of a sudden, Bagheera can't hear shit. All of a sudden, she don't know her name. All of a sudden, she don't know no. All of a sudden, she don't know stop. All of a sudden, she don't know nothing except I'm about to bite the shit out this fucking dog, right? So we see her, see him, and we're calling. I'm trying to hurry up and come off the porch so I can grab her ass. No. This is young Bags, okay? Even though, in spite of her broken leg, just for context, by the way, this dog had jets. Not only did she have jets, she had juking ability like a fucking running back. You should have seen her ass. She looked like goddamn Jerome Bettis out that bitch. The way she would stop and cut sometimes outrageous. So anyway, she sees Moose. She hauls ass across the street. She runs up on Moose, and you see her realize in the moment that, oh, this dog is bigger than I thought was, right? Because normally one of her moves, she's a face. This Bagheera go for the face. She go for ears. She try to go for eyes. Like she's dirty out here, right? But she run up on Moose and realized Moose is big. So she's like, oh, fuck this. So she dives under Moose and bites him by his back, like one of his back's leg, and rips him to the ground, right? And her and Moose is tussling, and it's a mess. And Moose's people are freaking out. Oh my god, they're losing their shit. My ex at the time, not afraid to get in there and bust up the dog fight, but he goes over there and somehow I think he said he had to punch Moose or something. Like Moose caught a jab, I think, in that fight. But he's 150 pounds. Moose is a fucking man out here. Moose can take a punch. He all right. So I think my ex had to punch Moose and scoop up Bagheera. But as he's bringing Bagheera in his arms across the street, a bottle comes out of nowhere and like smashes like right in front of him. Now, to be clear, the bottle wasn't thrown at him. Mi gente got the fighting. so the same night that Bagheera gets in her dog fight, like people fights was happening at the same time. It was wild. It was a wild scenario. But that was her first. You said, I got some what? Oh, I got some lipstick. Sorry, guys. I put my lipstick like on the inside of my lip. Maybe I should stop doing that. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Will. So, but I don't put my lipstick on my teeth intentionally. When I come in here, I make sure my teeth is clean, and then as I'm talking, it gets back on my teeth. So my apologies. I am your church auntie, and y'all will respect me. Yes, I am the church auntie, and you will respect me with lipstick on my teeth. So how about that? So that was Bagheera's first fight on this side of the world. And again, there's been several, but hold on. What's one of the Bagheera got into a dog fight at my mom's house while she was watching the dogs. Bagheera broke out of the gate to run and attack a dog on the sidewalk, and my mother had to break up the fight. My mother was probably 70 at the time. Also, at that same moment, my mom was having her car worked on in her driveway, and the brother working on the car told her, Miss Jean, you too old to be breaking up dog fights. My mother had no business breaking up that dog fight, but to her credit, shout out to my mama. My mama showed tremendous bravery and, by the way, success in her technique. She was able, because apparently with pit bulls, and I don't know if this is accurate or true, but it did work this time. But when the dogs, supposedly when they lock, because pit bulls, their bite, that's what they're most known for. Their what, pounds per square inch. The strength of their bite is what makes them deadly animals. But apparently, like in their hindquarters, if you can pinch them in a certain spot, maybe near their chuchas or their ball sack or whatever the fuck, you can get them to let go. And my mom remembered Bagheera's first daddy telling her that. And she did that, and she got Bagheera to release the dog. Now, fortunately, that dog owner was pretty understanding. I guess Bagheera didn't injure him, but I have had to pay vet bills for at least 2 animals, because that's how. And shout out to Bagheera, because I became very intimately familiar with the rules of law as it pertains to if your dog starts some shit. If your dog starts some shit, that's your fault, right? You have to assume that cost. That is your liability. When Bagheera attacked a different dog outside of my mother's house, this was my fault. I let her out of the car unleashed and didn't get her to the porch quick enough. A young lady with her dog came jogging up the street. So they were kind of moving at a pace quicker than what I anticipated. And I could not get to Bagheera quick enough. And she jumped on this fucking dog. And the people, they kind of talked a little tough to me. Like, they were like, you don't have to take this to court. I'm like, nigga, I know. I said, can I pay in installments? Right? You understand? Like, I already know what time it is. I'm not going to fuss. I'm not going to argue. If your animal, if you don't have control over your animal and your animal gets away from you, causes damage, you are liable, period, point blank. There's no way around that, right? And that is a lesson, a couple of lessons I did have to learn from Bagheera and will never forget them for the rest of my life, right? Shout out to Camden. That was the name of the dog that Bagheera jumped on that time. Another time Bagheera jumped on a dog had to been when my ex and I were contemplating getting another pit bull. Had Breezy, had Bagheera. My ex wanted, and Breezy and Bagheera were my dogs, to be clear, right? So my ex wanted his own dog, right? So we were very much leaning towards adopting a dog. Didn't necessarily want to get a puppy. Definitely didn't want to buy a dog, right? Wanted to give a dog a good home. So somehow we found this pit bull rescue locally and found this red-nosed pit bull by the name of Callie, that was being fostered in Alexandria. And we drove down to Alexandria to meet the dog, and the dog seemed like a nice dog. Now, the dog was on some sort of like behavioral medicine. I can't remember if the dog was on Prozac or some shit. And I remember my ex and I were like, when the motherfucker won't be on Prozac if it comes to stay with us. Like, we don't believe that. Like, just exercise the dog, get the dog out, stimulate the dog, teach the dog some shit. I don't, anyway. But anyway, so the dog kind of was known allegedly to have some sort of issue, right? But when we met her, she seemed like a nice dog. So the next visit, because again, we're trying to be responsible dog owners, not just go pick a dog and bring it back to my fucking house with my dog, aggressive fucking dogs. Like, no, we're going to have to audition this dog and make sure that this dog fits in. So the lady brought, on a different day, brought the dog to my house, leashed up Breezy and Bagheera, walked all three dogs up and down the sidewalk, no problemo. We were like, oh shit, like this might work. Okay. Like, our thug is not thugging. Great. Look at Breezy following Bagheera's well-mannered lead. Excellent. Okay, this is fantastic. So we have the dogs in the backyard. And so it's three dogs, Breezy, Bagheera, and this other dog named Callie. And Callie, like I said, it was a red-nosed pit. Maybe Callie was 2 or 3. Young dog, right? Good looking dog. Great shape. Beautiful, beautiful animal. And Callie's foster mom was there. So the three of us are in the backyard. The dogs are in the backyard. We're talking. We're not sitting. I think we're standing. But I think she, the foster mom, went to sit. And somehow something about where she placed herself in between Callie and my partner did not sit well with Callie. And for some reason, and shit happened all kind of quick. But what happened was Callie goes to bite my ex, right? And my ex tells a story and says that they believed. My ex said, he said, yo, he said, I thought my forearm, he said, I thought my bicep, like my forearm muscle, he said, I thought she was about to rip it to shreds. He said he could feel the breath from Callie's mouth about to bite him. And what happens? He says a black blur come out of nowhere. Bagheera knocks this dog out of the air. The dog is leaping to try to bite him on the arm. Bagheera knocks the dog out the air and is on her ear. Right? On her ear. Ooh, but Bagheera fight dirty. Damn, fight dirty. So my partner is trying to separate the dogs, but the foster mom takes her dog, or the dog, the prospective dog, and pulls her by the collar, rips the dog's ear to fucking shit. Like, because Bagheera still had the dog's ear locked. Like, my ex was trying to, he was going to try to dislodge her jaws from this dog's ear, but the lady reacted too quickly and just yanked the dog back, ripped this dog's ear. The dog had to get surgery, right? I mean, Bagheera fucked this dog up, but what happened? She protected him. She didn't let him get bit. He didn't get bit at all. She stopped that. She nipped that in the bud. And he always viewed that as payback, repayment for him pulling her out of the moose, out of the dog fight with Moose. He always felt as though, her saving him from getting bit by Callie was her paying him back. And And that's the kind of dog she was. She was always very loyal. She looked out for this house. She looked out for the people and the other animals in this house. And even sometimes, like I know I've told you guys numerous times, I'm not going to go into the whole story again, but the time that the police came to my house, I thought they were gonna help. I thought they was here to be helpful. They was not helpful. They ended up just scaring the shit out of me. But that night, what happened that night? Bagheera actually had Lyme disease. Bagheera, in addition to her broken paw, she's had Lyme disease, she's had pneumonia, she had to have a splendectomy. I'll get to some of these in a second. But on this particular night, when the Prince George's County Police came to my fucking house and drew down on Breezy, the reason they didn't draw down on Bagheera is because Bagheera was lame in one paw. Y'all, she came back from Lyme disease, which is crazy work when you think about it. But like, we got her diagnosed really quick. She got on a antibiotic regimen, heavy duty antibiotics. But how I even came to figure out she had Lyme disease is because she couldn't walk on one paw, like one of her front, I think it was like her front left paw. She was lame, unfortunately, is the only word I know to describe it, but she could not walk on one paw, right? And it was weird. It's like, what is this? What's going on? So we took her to the vet, and that's what she diagnosed her with. So she was in the middle of getting her antibiotics regimen when this incident with the police happened. Now, when I left, pardon me, when I opened the door and went outside to talk to the police or to get yelled at by the police, however you want to describe my engagement with the police, Bagheera was on top of the bed. The bed that she was on top of is a high bed. It's a high platform bed, and then the mattress itself is pretty thick itself. So she was elevated. Okay. By the time I realized that I did not secure the dogs well at all, and the dogs came running, or rather, Breezy came running out and put herself between me and the cops. Which, by the way, G shit for Breezy. Y'all, I need y'all, please throw some flames up for Breezy for being a real one out here. Breezy said, "We do not like pigs." This is a dog household. Pigs are not welcome. Breezy put herself between me and them cops. I will never. Shit, where's Bagheera? Where's Bagheera? Bagheera is also in the front yard, but she's laid down in the front yard, right? So, because she can't stand, right? And all I'm thinking is, not all I'm thinking a lot of things in that moment, but I'm also thinking, how the fuck did she get out here? How did you get off the bed? How did you get out of the house? How did you get down the stairs? How are you right here, a witness to this entire incident when you were lame 10 minutes ago, couldn't walk? Another example of this dog's loyalty, her drive, her will. Like, if Bagheera set her mind to this shit, there's nothing she couldn't do, nothing she wouldn't do in defense of her mommy. And I'm telling y'all, the pit bulls, I know there are a lot of loyal dog breeds, but I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? Pits put that muscle behind their loyalty. They're not just loyal, they're ready to show you that they're loyal, and I love them for it. So, other things about Bagheera. Come to find out, Bagheera could swim, which was excellent. Hold on, let me back up. Let me tell you another quick story about Bagheera. How me and Bagheera international me and Bags rode with me to Canada. Whoop whoop. So in my driving days, I was driving some bitch, and I was actually trying to count how many times did I drive to Toronto by myself, and I could confirm 3. I think there might be a 4th floater out there, but I'd have to check some pictures and whatever. But I know there are 3 times that I drove from Central Maryland to Toronto, Ontario, and beyond. And one of the time, and to be clear, all 3 times I drove alone. One time my younger brother came with me, but he was not of driving age and did not drive at all. And the other time, Bagheera, also not of driving age, and she did not drive at all, but she came with me. Why did I bring Bagheera? Because I was going to spend a week and a couple extra days in Canada. I did not think it was fair to leave two pit bulls, two youngish pit bulls, young adult strapping pit bulls. I didn't think it was fair to leave both dogs with my mom for that duration of time. Now, the kicker is, like many places in the United States, the province of Ontario has banned pit bulls, very much like the county of Prince George's here in Maryland, where I live and had my pit bulls for a decade plus. I don't know. I didn't know how strict the law was in Ontario, because again, there are places where they adhere to that pit bull ban shit very strict, and there are places like where I live, they don't adhere to that shit at all. It's on the books. And it's more of an inconvenience when trying to adopt a pit bull from the PG County Animal Shelter. They won't let county residents adopt dogs in its own shelter, which is fucking weird because we have weird shit. But anyway, I digress. So the reason I took Bagheera and not Breezy with me to Canada, because Breezy looked and was, I believe, an American Staffordshire Terrier, right? So on her shot records, which you have to produce when you're taking your dog international, have to produce her shot record. On Breezy's shot record, it has her breed as pit bull. On Bagheera's shot record, it has her as terrier mix. And I said, let's roll that dice. I said, let's roll the dice. I said, let's roll the dice. It doesn't say explicitly pit bull. Let's see if we can get Bags over the border. Let's see if they let Bags into Canada. Listen, let me tell you something. when we pulled up to that border, after we come out of Buffalo, New York, and we drive down to that border coming into Ontario, when I tell you that man barely looked at Bagheera, barely looked at her shot record, didn't ask was she a pit bull, he just glanced at the shit, gave it right back to me. He was more interested in, did I have liquor in the car, which I did. And I told him, because again, I've never had a problem moving about to and fro Canada. They're nice people. I've not had an issue. But anyway, so we're in the clear. We riding somewhat dirty into Toronto. I was going there to visit a family member. My family member was staying in Scarborough at the time, which is right outside of Toronto. Working class suburb, etc. They were renting a room from some folks who also had a pit bull. Again, you never know what these pit bull bans, what they really mean. These people had a pit bull, and they said it was very common for people to have pit bulls in Ontario in spite of the ban. So anyway, this was a female pit bull, also about a comparable age as Bagheera. And I was telling them, I said, my dog's very dog aggressive. Like she prone to fighting. Oh man, yeah, I think I could take the dogs for a walk. I think it was a West Indian guy. He's like, yeah, man, I could take the dog. I could walk your dog. Walk your dog with my dog. I said, oh, okay. If you think if you think you can handle it. So I'm in the house and I'm looking out the window as he's got he's got Bagheera and his dog leashed up, and he's getting ready to set out to take him for a walk. Y'all know what happened. These dogs didn't make it out the driveway before they started knucking and bucking and rah, 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 rah. You know what I'm saying? So they start fighting and he's trying to control them. Bagheera breaks away and takes off running. Okay. I'm like, oh shit. So I run out from the living room. I walk. I can't remember if it started to rain, but I remember it started to get dark. Because I remember I pulled into Scarborough just in time, nigga, right as the sun was going down. Anyway, so I get to the door and anyway, so I get to the door, and again, just like Baloo in the Jungle Book, the movie, Bagheera, and 30 seconds later, who was running in past me like she was crazy. She was like, mommy, this shit was crazy. That bitch tried to fight me. I don't know where I'm at. I'm in a different country. I don't speak Canadian. I don't know what's going on. But she came back to me. This dog was so smart. This was not a dog that would bust free and just be running for freedom, just happy to be out. No, Bagheera's not ignorant out here. Bagheera knows that her mama is going to feed her. Her mama is going to provide water for her, shelter for her. Why would she ever want to run away from me? Like, why would she ever run away? And that I never, well, I didn't have that. What happened one time? I'll tell y'all about that in a second. But she came back. But anyway, so on the same trip, we got into a fight in Scarborough. We start driving. So I have another family member who lives in Northern Ontario, which is it's about 8 hours north of Toronto. Okay. If you're familiar at all, because it's Yonge Street, yes, it's Route 11 that starts in Toronto, and I believe takes you to the Arctic Circle. I don't know if it takes you that far, but it takes you way up in the province, like super far up. So where I went, the family member we were going to visit lives, I believe, oh fuck, is it 3 hours past Thunder Bay? It's far. Okay, it's far. The Canadians say it's in the bush, and that's a fucking understatement, in the goddamn bush. So long story short, we do 10 hours to Toronto, we do 8 hours to the bush, right? Not the same day, maybe the next day or day after, I can't remember. And we're up there. My family member kind of lives a little off the grid, to be kind. And Bagheera had the run. She had the run of all this open space, all these woods. Now, the family member going to visit out in the bush also had a dog. And I think the dog's name was Dog, okay? And this dog, who knows what this dog was, but this dog was a bit of a mean dog. Like, this dog had actually bitten some of the family members' own children. And even though they're not, the children themselves weren't children, they're adult children, but still, this family member's dog bit his own kids and he didn't get rid of the dog. He kept the fucking dog, right? And some of his kids felt a little bit away about that. I don't blame him. Like, well, nigga, like, this dog bit me and you gonna keep the dog and tell me to go home. Wow. Okay, got it. So we were mindful of Bagheera's and this dog's interaction, because I told him my dog don't take no shit. So we were up there for a few days, and the dogs seemed to got along. They didn't have any problems, no issues whatsoever. On the morning that we were leaving, having breakfast, having coffee, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but like it was a snarl, a growl, and all of a sudden it's on, right? It's bring the motherfucking ruckus right in the house, right? And after the fight, my family member's dog has a gash right under its eye. Big ass shit. Now, thankfully, the dog didn't lose the eye. But again, just to show you what kind of time, and the dog was bigger than Bagheera, by the way, just to show you what kind of time Bagheera on. Like, Bagheera was not playing games. She will take your ear. She will take your motherfucking eyeball. You want to fuck around? You will find out. Okay, you will find out. Don't look at this 50-pound pit bull and think she's out for play out here. She's never out for play. Okay, she is about that action. So about the action. And throughout all of this, you guys, Bagheera and Breezy just have this tremendous bond. In fact, will you play the second video for me? Because, just being knowing how skittish and scary Breezy used to be, and just to see her come out of her shell and be confident, right? And I have to, I mean, I did what I could for Breezy to try to, give her confidence and socialize her, but she didn't really blossom until she started living with Bagheera. Until Bagheera came to live with us is when Breezy, I mean, not to humanize the dogs too much, but this is when Breezy really found her voice. You know what I'm saying? Is when Breezy felt comfortable to step into her real self and become who she was meant to be, a bad bitch out here. And I really credit Bagheera for doing that. So anyway, this is a video of them wrestling. They love to wrestle. They would, so before my house was furnished, the upper level had no furniture because I was house poor. and and so as a result, the dogs had a gladiator level unto themselves in which they would gallop up the stairs and wrestle each other. That was not one of those. In fact, I went on my Instagram page and found one of the videos of them wrestling and Bagheera humping Breezy, and fucking Instagram had removed the sound from the video. I'm like, really? What do you? Okay. So, but that to hear them, two dogs at the time wrestle and snap and snarl, it sounded like it was five dogs upstairs wrestling. And in fact, Bagheera had such a powerful bite. Like when she would snap her jaws, the shit would sound like gator jaws snapping, right? And as you know, we went along. I'm gonna speed this up. I'm sorry, Will. I did. I just looked at the time and didn't realize how deep it was. But let me finish this up. So, there was a period in time where I was in between gigs, and I got a job opportunity out in Kansas City, Missouri. Co-hosting a morning show at a radio station out there. This is a position I really should have never accepted because trying to secure housing in Kansas City in terms of um an apartment that allowed pit bulls was pretty much impossible. Now what I did find out, Kansas City is one of those places where they do take the pit bull bans quite seriously, and apartments um weren't playing that shit, right? Like I couldn't sneak, terrier mix, none of that shit. And that was a big problem, because Breezy actually took sick. The several weeks that I was in Kansas City, I was only out there 6 weeks, y'all. And my dog took sick. Breezy developed Addison's disease. We didn't know what was wrong with her. She almost died. I was on a live remote 8 a.m., 9 o'clock in the morning. My ex calls me bawling because he found Breezy in a closet, unresponsive, laying in vomit. We thought Breezy was dead. Okay. Long story short, Hyattsville Animal Hospital, can't ever credit them enough, saved my dog. But Breezy had a long road to recovery. And I and this is real talk, y'all. I quit that job for a myriad of reasons, but the driving primary reason was if my dog was gonna die, I was not going to be in Kansas City when that shit happened. Okay. Like, and people may think that's dumb. People may think, and not that dog, you can think whatever the fuck you want. I was not going to be 800 miles away from Breezy, my baby, my love. Um, and if she died and I wasn't there, that was not going to happen. So I had to say, fuck that job. Okay. And I had to take it was not easy economically, professionally, all that shit. This shit took a hit. But guess what I got? I got 7 years more with my dog. And let me say this, the whole time Breezy was sick, and she was very sick, Bagheera was a champ. Bagheera was a real team player. Bagheera minimized her needs. And I know you're like, Kim, how could the dog she did that. She shrank her needs. She, Breezy was getting daily treatment. It was crazy. I spent a lot of money. It was money I didn't have anyway. Thanks to my mother, helped me out a lot. It was a lot going on. But the way that Bagheera understood that Breezy needed more attention, she needed more resources, she needed more assistance, she just took a back seat. I can't even describe it more so than that. She got a little chunky because she wasn't getting walked the way she used to. So she was described as juicy at one point, but she was really an excellent protector of Breezy. In fact, there was another pit bull who used to live next door, a little saucy thing by the name of Bam Bam. And when Breezy was sick, she was like a walking bag of bones. It took a while for her to regain weight because she had muscle wasting and all kinds of crazy shit. But Bam Bam had ran up to the fence and was barking at Breezy, and Breezy sort of reacted because, she knew she was weak and kind of vulnerable. And Bagheera was like, no, bitch, jumped right in front of Breezy and got it, Bam Bam, like, nigga, back up, back up, back up. So in 2021, I'm going to speed this up. When we had to put Breezy down, Breezy was 12 in July of 21. the whole house mourned for Breezy. Um, and I actually think Bagheera went into a little depression. I'm sure we all did. After we had to put Breezy down, because that was her ace. That was her road dog, pardon the pun. But from when Bagheera was 3 and Breezy was 2, they were together. So they had a strong 10-year run as bonded sisters. And it was hard when Breezy got put down. And honestly, Bagheera took sick just a few months after Breezy. And I remember telling Bagheera, because we didn't know what was wrong with her either. We just figured she was 13. It was probably her time. I remember, petting her and trying to soothe her, comfort her. And I remember telling her, if you feel as though you need to go be with Breezy again, it's okay. And she started wagging her tail when I mentioned Breezy. She started wagging her tail when I mentioned Breezy. And I thought Bagheera was out of here then. I was wrong. Hold on. Let me tell y'all one quick story, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Um, before Breezy got put down, when they were still young and healthy, before Breezy even got sick. So we're talking 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-old Breezy and Bagheera. 6, 5, 6, 7-year-old Breezy and Bagheera. They killed about 4 groundhogs in my backyard. The first groundhog they killed, I had got up to let them out in the morning. I was bleary eyed, just opening the door, opening the gate. And all of a sudden, Breezy takes off in the yard, and Bagheera's right on her ass. And all of a sudden, I hear something go, ha! It's like I was so half asleep and confused, and obviously poor vision. Like I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I run inside and wake up my ex. I'm like, they're killing a goose. I don't know what's happening. They're killing something in the backyard. So he gets up and they are on this groundhog's ass. And I got pictures of the shit, by the way. I should have brought y'all pictures of their trophies. Of their trophies. But they killed the shit out this one groundhog. But the one time that I had left Breezy and Bagheera, young Breezy and Bagheera, to their own devices in the backyard where I figured that they are safe, they are fine, they can't get out, whatever, whatever. Maybe I left them out there for a couple hours. Maybe it was a spring days, April, May, not too hot, temperate. They have bowls of water out there. They'll be fine. They can play with each other, blah, blah, blah. I go out there to check on them or to let them in. And I'm like touching them. I'm like, what is this on your coat? It's like, is that blood? What is this? What happened? Go out in the yard. I go get my axe. I'm like, yo, what the? I said, touch them. They got shit on them. I don't know what do they have on them? He goes out in the yard. He picks up this carcass, this groundhog carcass. And the only thing on the carcass is literally the skull and the fur. Everything on the inside is gone. Gone. But y'all, when I say everything, I mean paws, claws, ribs, entrails, heart, organs. They left nothing of this fucking groundhog. I was stunned. I said, they ate this whole groundhog. The 2 of them have eaten this groundhog. I called the vet. It was a Saturday. I never forget. I think it was after hours. And again, the vet around the way, they're so friendly. Like I think I had the vet's cell number. I called his bam. I'm like, yo. I said, yo, they just ate this groundhog. Doctor, what should be done? And he said, what's the shit, y'all? What's the heart guard with the heartworm shit? Well, that kills all kinds of worms and parasites, right? So he told me just to give them a double dose of the heart guard. They should be all right. But let me tell you, when I tell you that my girls was killers, don't push them. Don't push them because they about that action. So lastly, you guys, put Breezy down in 2021. Bagheera ended up developing an immuno blood disease where she had issues. I believe it was producing red blood cells. So like her white blood cells were like eating her red blood cell. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me back up. before that, well, don't kill me. I'm so sorry. Before we put Reezy down, because you guys, I appreciate you guys jumping around this timeline with me. You know, I smoke a lot of reefers. Sometimes my shit gets jumbled up. Let me tell you really quick. When Bagheera was 9, I noticed that she had some bloating, some subtle abdominal bloating, and it didn't look right to me. So I took her to the vet, and the vet did an X-ray, and the vet called again. Shout out to Dr. K. I have a black woman vet. She's amazing. Dr. K calls me in the back to look at the X-rays. And Dr. K is so sweet. Like she has like the sweetest voice. She's such a nice lady. And she's young too. I think she's way younger than me. So she's like this young black woman veterinarian. She's fantastic. She goes, "Oh no." Right? I'm like, "Uh-oh." I said, "What?" She's like, "Oh no." She's like, "This is not good." She said and I even think she used the word gremlin. She's like, "We got a gremlin growing in this baby girl, and this doesn't look good." Um, she said, "I actually had a dog come in with this same issue, and we've actually got that dog scheduled to be put down." And I'm like, and I remember being kind of shocked by that news. Like, I had to regain my composure. I'm like, I think I started crying like right there. I'm like, hold on. I said, Dr. K, please give me a second because you're giving me some really heavy news here. Like you're telling me that this could be fatal, whatever this is. And I can't remember did she have a tumor or what the fuck it was. But the long and the short of it is that but she needed a splendectomy. She needed to have her spleen removed in the DC area. And a shock to no one, right? And I'm sure if you live in a big metropolitan area, is the case for you as well. But in this area, veterinary care is very expensive. It is very expensive. There are 2 emergency animal hospitals, and I mean 24-hour emergency animal hospitals around here that you can take your dog to, and they will give you excellent care, and them niggas will charge you $3 million. Okay, like $3 million. So the long and short of it is the surgery. Were we to have the surgery down here at the vet hospital that could do the surgery, it was going to be exorbitant, right? However, my ex has family in the country about 3 hours away, and them country vets charge less. So it was probably $1,200 less to take her out to the country vet to have the surgery done. Okay. Bagheera was going to die at age 9 if she did not have the splendectomy, and it was going to be a bad death. The vet told me that the thing would have ruptured inside of her, and she would have internally bled to death. She said it would have been a very terrible bad death, and I'm like, not bags. Bags can't go out like that. And my ex at the time, willing to take her to this vet out in the country. So she had the surgery. And the country vet said that when they cut her open to pull the tumor out or whatever the fuck, her spleen out, he said he compared it in size to a duck pin bowling ball. Y'all familiar? Everybody been duck pin bowling? They take the kids duck pin bowling. It's a bowling ball that, palm size. Maybe it's about 3 pounds. And that's how big that this spleen or her infected, whatever the fuck that the vet pulled out of her. He said it was 3 pounds. Now, proportionality. Oh, I'm sorry. I ear doctored that. Hold on. Let me back that up. Proportionality. Well, shit. I got a double case of the ear doctor. Relatively speaking, 3 pounds from a 50-pound animal is not insignificant, right? She had that surgery. My dog recovered like a champ. Okay. That was August. She had that surgery. November that same year, at my mom's house. At my mom's house. I have 3 dogs with me. Breezy, Bagheera. By that time, Smokey had been added to the rotation. Bing, bang, boom. My mother's neighbors also have dogs. I had let my dogs out in the morning, and I heard a ginormous ruckus. After I let the dogs out, came back inside. I even think I laid back down. I heard a ginormous ruckus. I'm like, that is a bigger than normal ruckus. Let me get up. And I got up in my pajamas, in my robe, bare feet. It had been raining. And I ran outside to the backyard. And there's a giant hole in my mom's backyard fence connected with the other neighbor's yard of which they had a few dogs. And two of their, I think, five dogs are in my backyard with my very aggressive, very dog aggressive dog. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So, my mother's neighbors, unfortunately, are a pair of dipshits. So I see these two dipshits on the other side of the fence waving, like, oh, sorry. Well, we're gonna get them. Come here, puppy. Come on. They're trying to call their dogs back through this ginormous hole that I know their dogs made. My dogs, I just told y'all, my dogs aren't fucking ignorant. My dogs will climb fences. They don't leave the fucking yard, and they damn sure don't put holes in the fences. In all the years I had both of my dogs, I knew my dogs didn't put that goddamn hole in the fence. So anyway, so instead of these dumb motherfuckers coming over to come get their dogs, they're trying to coerce their dogs. They're trying to call their dogs back through the hole. Them dogs is not listening to them niggas at all, right? So the one of the dogs comes over to me, and I'm just kind of standing in the middle of the yard because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Um, I'm waiting for them to come get their dogs, right? So one of their dogs comes over to me and sits down as a nice dog. I pet him on the head, and Bagheera kind of gets. Bagheera's like, the fuck? So Bagheera gets in between me and this dog, and all of a sudden, then I see Bagheera and Breezy go into their tag team action. See, what Breezy would do is Breezy would run interference. So Breezy would kind of lunge and do a little nip to get the dog to turn around and have the attention on her, and then Bagheera would jump on the motherfucker, right? So that's exactly what happened. So Breezy hit him with the setup with the one, and then all of a sudden, here come Bagheera with the two. And y'all, when I tell you Bagheera, the dog's name, the dog's name is Tumbles. Okay, when I tell you Bagheera had tumble face in her jaws, Bagheera was not letting Tumbles the fuck go, and I'm like, oh my god, this dog. I'm like, Bagheera's about to rip Tumbles' face to shreds. Jesus, 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 Jesus. So I'm like, Bagheera, I'm like begging her. I'm like, Bagheera, let Tumbles go, let Tumbles go, let Tumbles go. I'm trying to pry her jaws open. For what? What am I doing that for? Who tries to pry open Pitbull's jaws? A dummy. That's who. That was me trying to pry her lot jaws. And then I'm trying to go for the leg, in between leg, trying to hit I'm trying to press. Bagheera, please let this dog go. Please let the dog go. She doesn't let the dog go. Male dipshit comes over. And he can't, and he's a big guy. He can't get Bagheera to let it go. So y'all, and I promise, I left my body. I literally had an out of body experience. Bagheera would not let this dog's face go. My ex at the time was at work, couldn't call him. So the male neighbor, started to punch Bagheera. Boom, boom. He's punching the shit out of her, right? I can't even claim, and I know I gave him some sort of permission to do it because how I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how I was going to get Bagheera off of Tumble's face, right? So I think I must have allowed him to hit her to get her to let go. But I swear to you, I didn't witness it. Like, I know I literally had an out of body experience thinking of this big man hitting my dog. Like, it's I know it happened because I remember hearing it. I don't have any visual memory of it at all. I totally blacked it out, right? Because it was like just that traumatic. So, long story short, because we're only just a few weeks away from her splendectomy surgery, I wanted to take her to the vet to have her checked out because she just got punched repeatedly by a big fucking man. And so it took her to the vet, had her x-rayed, had her checked out. She was okay. That is kind of what started a little dispute with that neighbor. I know you're like, Kim, why y'all keep beefing with neighbors? No, neighbors keep beefing with us. Okay. Like, because this motherfucker didn't want to pay her vet bill. And I'm like, sir, like I told y'all, I am very apprised of the when your dog get loose and fuck some shit up or some shit gets damaged as a result of your dog not being under your control. I'm very familiar with this. This is a $300 vet bill. This is nothing. He was very adamant about not paying the bill. I had to sue small claims court, ergo my one small claims court victory. But the funny part about it is Bagheera's name's all in Bagheera is in the court records. You understand? Her name is on legal documents that will survive her and me. You understand? Like, so the dog is a legend. She's a DMV legend. She's amazing. And on amongst some of her final adventures, in 2023, when she was 14 going on 15, she got the opportunity to go to Chicago. I think, didn't I send a picture of her in a building, like looking out on the Chicago skyline? She had a blasty blast in Chicago. She loved it. She loved the road trip. She loved sticking her head out the window. This is a very adventurous animal. Like, she was always down for the adventure. She loved to swim. She loved to just do shit. She was always about it. She took that Chicago trip like a champ. And to be clear, Chicago is 10-12 hour ride from where I live, and she was all with it. Again, she had ridden with me to Toronto and beyond, all about it. And last year, and we're going to cue up that last video, Will, and you can let it play and I'll talk over it once you get the opportunity. But last year, Bagheera had the opportunity for my birthday to go to Virginia Beach, and she got the opportunity to see the ocean. She was fascinated by the waves. She was like, it was interesting. It was very much like watching an elder contemplate the enormity of life, and the depth and magnificence of the ocean, and that pattern of waves crashing. Like, she just seemed to really be taking it all in from the beach. You know what I'm saying? And of course, if you see in the video there, you see her mommy pulling her in her wagon. That's right. Y'all should have seen Bags out on Virginia Beach stunting on them hoes, riding 24s. That's how all my niggas roll. Bagheera was blowing dro on 24s. That's how little Bagheera roll and roll, cars and clothes. That's how little Bagheera rolls. Yes, she was in her wagon, stunting, getting all kinds of attention. It was so cute, y'all. I'm gonna repeat the Spanish, even though I'm probably gonna fuck it up. But like, when it first pulled up on the block and she got in her wagon, and we got comfortable to pull her and steady her, etc., we started walking, or walking past this couple, and the couple goes, "Mira, el perrito en his little carrito." It was super cute because, I don't know what carrito is. I don't even know if she said carrito, but I understood perrito, the little dog. Look at the little dog in a little carriage and a little wagon. And I took a chuckle, and we had a little chat conversation with those folks, and the guy was like, "Yeah, my dog would never stay in the wagon, would jump out." But no, Bags, once she understood. Are you looping it, Will? Is it just on that screen? What am I seeing here? Yeah. Play again. Muchas gracias. Yes, yes, yes. And she got so much attention. She got stares. She got people coming up, "Oh, how old is she?" Okay. And she loved it. She lapped it up. She knew that she was the star of the show. The attention it was my birthday, but it was Bags time to shine. It was Bags time to stunt and shine down there deep in the V of the DMV, so that was an amazing trip and an amazing experience for her, and deeply appreciative that she got the chance to see the ocean. Like, I wanted a lot for this dog. Like, I feel like I wanted for this dog what I wanted for a child. You know what I'm saying? I wanted a child, I wanted a baby to see the world, and she did get to see parts of the world, corners of the world, and I just really hope that I gave her a good life, which I think I did. I think I gave her a good life. I really tried. Um, but I'm sorry. It's just, I miss this dog. I miss her. I do miss her. I do miss her. And she was just an incredible, just so incredible. You just don't think that animals can impact you like that. But Bagheera is really missed. But it was her time. You guys should know that She went peacefully. She went like a G. She went on her own terms. She was ready. You know, I didn't feel as though I took any time away from her. Not at 16 and a half. No, I didn't take any time away from her. And she went as she lived, the way she wanted to. Like, this dog was so hard-headed and stubborn and so goddamn headstrong, but she went exactly the way she lived on her own terms. And I love her. And I hope this is a good quality tribute to her. I hope this lives and survives the internet and all of that, because there's nobody like Bagheera Brown. So anyway, thank you guys. I'll be back with news on Friday, I guess. We haven't really done news here in a minute, but it's been a an emotional roller coaster. Again, it's a full moon, kids, so please be on your P's and Q's. Hence all the waterworks, as you can imagine, full moon. But anyway, be safe out here, gang. Please tune into the Remix Morning Show tomorrow for Women's Week Wednesdays on Black Liberation Media. And I'll see you on Black Liberation Media Thursday morning for the Remix Morning Show. Is that all? Will, do we have any acknowledgments?
Yes. Everybody sending you love in the chat.
Okay.
A lot of people with you. We got 64 people. We want to give a special shout out to Noli D for the super sticker. Thank you for that. And we appreciate all y'all. And RIP Bags.
Thank you, Will. You met Bags, Will. What did you think of Bags? What did you think of Bags when you met her? You came over here.
We was chilling. We was chilling. Yo laid up right next to me, was like, I was like, okay, yo, chilling. All right. I didn't know I was dealing with a gangster.
A pothead gangster, actually. Don't forget, I meant to mention this, y'all. Every time the weed would get sparked up, here come Bag. Y'all remember Half Baked? You remember Snoop Dogg and Half Baked? Every time Chappelle and them would light up the J, here comes Snoop. Here comes Snoop. Let me hit that. I just quit smoking last week. That was Bags. Bags was always looking to and listen, blow the smoke right in her face. Oh, by the way, Will, the dog had COPD. She was diagnosed with doggy COPD years ago. Years ago. And for the record, she did not die of COPD, by the way. This dog was a smoker until the end. She wanted to hit the J. I promise you. So anyway.
True G.
Triple G, triple OG. Thank you, Will, for your patience. I appreciate you. Let me go long. Gang, we'll see y'all back here Friday. Love you to death. Thanks to all of our illustrious and glorious mods. Peace to Will and Molly. Love you, Fire Fam. Deuces. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Rest in peace, Bags. Power to the Bagheera.